guys, welcome to TST Garage. I'm Bart, and today in this video I'll be showing you how to install the TST Industries Brake Light Modulator on your bike. Now, a brake light modulator, sometimes called a strobe, sometimes called a brake light flasher, what it does is basically enables you to install some electronics on your bike so that when you press your brakes, the brake light flashes in some kind of pattern and alerts the drivers behind you that you will be stopping. Our particular brake light modulator comes pre-wired to a plug that interfaces with a sub harness that we provide specific to your bike model that enables plug-and-play functionality with your bike. So that means that the installation is really fast and you can do it yourself. Now, the electronics inside, we do have the ability for you to program this unit to 3 different functions and then subsequently adjust the rate of the effect to your liking. Our first programmable mode is strobe alert. This mode will produce 9 flashes and then stay solid for the duration of the brake engagement. Second one is intermittent pulsar. Each cycle will flash 10 times and then pause, and then these cycles will repeat for the duration of the brake engagement. The last available option is pulsar, and this one just basically provides continuous flashing for the duration of the brake engagement. Now we'll show you how to install this. It's really simple, and then after the installation chunk, I will show you in detail how to get inside here, how to program the different modes, and how to alter the rate of those different modes. We did think about the safety of such devices during the design phase, so we decided to design this in a way that it will be a pass-through component. In case you experience a failure on board here, it will just pass through your normal brake function, which means you press your brake light lights up, there's just no effect. In case you do experience that failure, we do offer a warranty, so we have guys standing by in our support department that will take your call, email, Facebook message, whatever, and we'll get you replaced. And that's pretty much it. Now, I'm really excited to show you guys just how easy this is to put on and configure. So let's get started. So for this demonstration, we've chosen a bike that's outfitted with an OEM taillight unit like you see here. We do have integrated taillights that are programmable. They give you a few different light options via the press of a button. I would expect that you guys don't buy the modulator for this type of a light because it already has all the programming functions on board. So this is why we've chosen a 600RR with a stock setup. Let's begin by removing the passenger seat. And then we will use a 5mm Allen to remove the front seat. I like to leave these bolts captive under the seat. It makes the reassembly vastly easier. Now we have access to these 4 fasteners, also 5mm Allens. We're going to remove these. At this point, I would like you to point your attention to these parts of the fairings here at this split between the tail and the forward seat fairing. If you lift up on the bottom and pull up slightly, you will disengage the locking feature that locks these tabs. Do that on both sides. Again, push down, pry away, pull up, and that's released. Now we could pull up on the rearmost section of the tail. That will clear the rear locking interference mechanism, and it will enable us to pop this thing out, stretch it, and pull it away. At this point, I'm going to find my main taillight plug by following the wire down to this boot here. This bike's outfitted with a power commander, so that wire's in the way. I'm going to tuck it back. I'm going to remove the wire from the taillight out of its guides, and then to be able to get under this boot here, I'm going to untuck some of these wires up here from their clip that exists right here. Be gentle when you do this. There's not a lot of slack in here. All right, now we have access under the boot. We could slide it upstream, and we are interested in one of the white plugs here. One of the white plugs has 2 conductors. That's the license plate light. The other one has 3 conductors, and that goes to the tail light. It does have a tab here. I find it difficult to slip my nail under that, so what I do is use a small flathead screwdriver, pry up on it, and that just releases it, and it's good to go. Now we can grab the components that came in the modulator kit. As you can see, you have a harness here that is specific to your bike. Honda 3-pin, Honda 3-pin. That's pretty much the only way you could fit it in here. Just slide it on until it clicks. When it clicks, that indicates to you that you've actually engaged the locking mechanism. All right. Now we have this nice inline setup, and we could plug in our modulator here. One more click, and now we're going to begin the reroute of all these wires. Again, try to be careful. There is not much slack here. Once I have all these guys routed, I like to tuck this unsealed plug in under the boot along with the other ones. And when I have a model on which the main plug fits in there, I like to do that as well. And fortunately, we have this nice tab here that we can make use of for the routing of our modulator wire. If you don't like it dangling here, you can fold it over like that and have it sit here. I'm gonna grab a zip tie and zip tie it via this channel that was designed for the zip tie to this wiring here for the tail light, and that keeps it in place for me. If you do want to go ahead and program it and configure your flashes ahead of time, I would suggest you do that before you zip it down. We do have a separate section showing you how to adjust the mode, so right now I'm just demonstrating how to get it in place. All right, so this looks pretty good to me. It's all contained, all good. I'm gonna get all the equipment back in its place. I'm pretty much able to get all this stuff back together, get the fairing back on. So I'm gonna go in the reverse order of disassembly. All right, check everything spatially. Everything looks great. Doesn't convolute the space in here. Looks like a professional installation, so we could technically throw the hardware back in and be good to go. Before I do that, I always like to test the bike. Make sure that electrically we're good. And in fact, we are good, so I'm going to proceed to the next steps. Before I turn the screws in, I like to make sure that my locks here are actually engaged, and then start turning in the screws. The forward screws here do have a shoulder that's supposed to fit into the ovalized hole here. Make sure that you align the shoulder with the hole first. Don't just start screwing down, because you could mash the plastic up and distort it permanently. Screws back here are actually the thinner screws, M5s. They do engage with rubber well nuts. Make sure you do not over tighten these components. They do not have a hard bottom. You get down to contact, and then you just give it a couple turns to engage the expansion of that well nut, and don't go beyond that. And then tighten everything up here, throw the seats back on, and we'll be done. And there you have it. For mode selection and rate adjustment, we will need to get inside this capsule to access the electronics. These 2 Phillips head screws will need to be removed. What I like to do is unscrew them until they disengage from their receiving threads and leave them in the cap. Otherwise, it's pretty easy to lose them. If we pull them off with the cap, they are self-captive. All right, now will identify the parts here. This button is the mode selector, and this potentiometer is your rate adjuster. Clockwise is faster, counterclockwise is slower. Let's first do our selection of modes. With the brake pressed, press the button once to toggle to the next available program. Now the brake does have to be pressed so that the unit powers up, otherwise you won't be able to make the selection. If you find that you've pressed the button but the selection has not been changed, just do it again with the brake pressed. So now we will go on to the next program. Press the brake once more, press the button once, and now you're in the next mode. Now we've switched twice, so pressing it one more time will return to the original mode that your unit arrived in. Now for rate adjustment, we'll be using the potentiometer. With the brake pressed, we can turn it clockwise to make it go faster, counterclockwise to decrease the rate. Now in brake alert, you will only have 9 flashes to make your adjustment, and then it'll stay solid. This one doesn't actually lend itself to really fast flashing at the top of the range. Bottom of the range is unusable, so I like to set it somewhere towards 3/4 to maybe 80% clockwise, and that does it for me. Now if we change to the next one, this one is pulsar, and this one just keeps on flashing, so I like to have it going pretty fast here. Choice is really up to you. If you want to explore the next mode, we have the intermittent pulsar. This one to me belongs somewhere close to the top of the range, makes it the most visible. But again, freedom means choice. The decision is ultimately up to you. Once you're done with your adjustment and you're where you want to be with all your modes and rates, replace the cap, turn the screws back in, and it really is just that simple. Replace your brake light modulator in the space that you decided to keep it, and you're good to go.